You say you want power, more control, more influence, more freedom. But do you really? Because power is not comfort. Power is pressure. Power is responsibility that doesn't disappear at 6 p.m. Power is making decisions when there's no guarantee you're right. Most people don't fear failure. They fear responsibility. It's easy to say, if I were in charge, I'd do it differently. It's much harder to actually be in charge. Because when you're in charge, there's no one left to blame, no system to hide behind, no boss to point at. If it goes wrong, it's on you. That's what power really is. Ownership of consequences. And consequences are heavy. You think you want control, but control removes excuses. When someone else makes the final decision, you can disagree, you can complain, you can distance yourself from the outcome. But when you hold power, distance disappears. Your name is attached to results. Your judgment is exposed. Your reputation is on the line. That's not glamorous. That's pressure. Most people prefer structured safety, a clear role, a defined salary, a predictable path. Inside structure, you're protected. Your risk is limited. Your responsibility is capped. Your exposure is controlled, and that feels stable. But stability and power are not the same thing. Power expands exposure. It expands visibility. It expands risk. When you step into real authority, you lose certain comforts. You lose anonymity. You lose the luxury of indecision. You lose the ability to stay neutral. Power forces clarity, and clarity isolates. This is the part nobody talks about. Power is lonely. When you're the one deciding, you can't crowdsource courage. You can't poll everyone. You can't wait for consensus forever. At some point, you act. And that action carries weight. Many people don't avoid power because they're weak. They avoid it because they understand the cost. Power demands internal stability. If your identity depends on approval, power is terrifying. If you need constant reassurance, power is exhausting. If you fear being misunderstood, power is uncomfortable. Because leadership attracts criticism. Influence attracts resistance. Control attracts scrutiny. It's safer to stay competent inside the system. It's safer to be respected, but not responsible. It's safer to perform than to decide. That's why so many talented people plateau just below authority. They grow skills. They gain experience. But when the opportunity to take real ownership appears, they hesitate. Not because they lack ability, because they fear the weight. Real power means your mistakes are public. Your uncertainty is visible. Your pressure is constant. And most people optimize for comfort, not exposure. They say they want more freedom, but freedom without structure requires self-governance. And self-governance is harder than following rules. It's easier to operate within defined boundaries. It's harder to define them. That's the difference between competence and authority. Competence earns respect. Authority carries consequence. If you truly want power, you must accept something uncomfortable. You will be judged. You will be doubted. You will be blamed. And you will sometimes be wrong. Without the shield of hierarchy, without the excuse of, I was just following orders, power removes protection. That's why many people unconsciously avoid it. They negotiate for higher pay, but not for higher exposure. They seek promotions that increase status, but not those that increase risk. They want influence, but only within safe limits. So ask yourself honestly, if you were given full control tomorrow, no supervisor above you, no one to defer to, no one to absorb the blame, would you feel excited or anxious? That reaction tells you everything. Because power is not about dominance. It's about accountability. It's about carrying outcomes. It's about standing alone when decisions matter. And until you're willing to accept that weight, you don't want power. You want comfort with better optics. There's nothing wrong with choosing stability, but be honest about the trade. If you reject exposure, you reject authority. If you reject responsibility, you reject control. And if you reject control, you cannot complain about limitation. Power is not given to the loudest. It's carried by the most stable, the ones who can absorb pressure without collapsing, the ones who don't need constant approval, the ones who can act without permission. So before you say you want power, ask yourself something simple. Are you ready to lose your excuses? Because that's where it begins.